What's going on, fellow engineers? In this video, I'm going to set up the Raspberry Pi that I use as a traffic light controller to work also as an access point. The reason I want to do that is so that when I take the traffic light out into the field, I want to be able to connect to it using my phone and be able to change the program that is being used, using my phone. In the worst case scenario, I usually do bring my computer, but carrying the traffic light and a computer is usually more of a daunting task, especially having to connect the computer to the traffic light. So it's much easier to carry the phone and the traffic light when I'm going somewhere. So I'm going to show you how to do that coming up. So to do this Wi-Fi access point setup, I'm going to follow the steps that are available on PiMyLifeUp.com. PiMyLifeUp.com is not, and I repeat, is not a sponsor of this video. However, they have provided the steps for how to do this, and I have used them in the past, and they have worked successfully for me in the past. So I figured I would do this setup again. The reason I'm having to do this setup again is because I updated the Raspbian operating system, and as a result, I'm assuming when that operating system install occurred, it overwrote all of the files. And so I had wrote a script that was based off the instructions on here, but because the way that things are being done now, they're slightly different. That script no longer works. So I'm going to basically follow these steps again and to complete the setup. All right, so to begin, we'll start with sudo apt-get update. And actually, I'm going to just go ahead and switch over to the root user, and I'm going to do that by entering in sudo su. And now I'm logged in as root, and that way I don't have to type sudo every time to run a command, because there are pretty much all of these commands, if not most of them, will have to be done as a root user. So save us a few keystrokes. All right, so apt-get update and followed by apt-get upgrade. And I usually put the -y option when I do upgrade. That way it will, if there are any upgrades that need to be done, it will go ahead and do them. A lot of times you have dependencies that require those upgrades to be in place, so why not just go ahead and do those? All right, the next step is to install host apd and also DNS mask. So I'm going to run that with apt-get install. All right, and then next we need to stop some of the processes. So we need to stop the host apd, and also need to stop the DNS mask server. All right, next going to edit the etc dhcp cd.conf file. Say that 5 times fast. All right, and the next step is to look in here for a WLAN 0. All right, so I have WLAN 0, and actually I have it in here twice. I think what happened was I ran the script again and it did not remove the previous entry, and so instead it put the same entry in twice, which is really a problem. So I'm going to remove that second entry. Also going to check some of these other options here. You shouldn't need to change anything up here at the top. And so as you see, the entry for the interface WLAN 0 is at the bottom of the file. There's a note in the instructions here about using ifconfig to see the name of the interfaces that you have. I have a Raspberry Pi 3 that I'm using, and so it does have a WLAN 0, but check yours if you're using a Pi 4 that may be named something different. So be sure to check that. And so now I'm going to save using I'm going to go ahead and exit, and it's going to prompt me to save. So I'll type Y and save that way. Now, need to restart the DHCP service. So system CTL restart DHCP CD. All right, no errors came back out. Next, need to adjust the host APD configuration. So using nano, etc, host APD, and host apd.conf. And so here we'll need to set the SSID as well as the password for your Wi-Fi access point. And you'll also need to define the, if it's not already in your file, the interface and driver to use. So again, this for the Raspberry Pi 3, and I'm comparing what it has on the Pi My Life website to what's currently here, and pretty much everything looks correct. The only problem is I have the same set of stuff in here twice, as I can see. So what I'm going to do is remove this stuff down here from the bottom, and I'm going to put some comments in here, and you can put comments in here using the # as the comment line indicator. And so I'm going to mention that this is the Wi-Fi access point and access point name, and then Wi-Fi access points password. All right. So that answers that part. All right, on to the next step. We'll need to save, and I believe, did that save? It didn't prompt. I guess it did. Okay, so going to save and exit, and then the next file to edit is nano, using nano rather, defaults, and then host apd. All right. And so I have some files in here listed twice, which says I look too good. So what I'm gonna do is, I see this is listed in here twice. I'm going to actually go back into that and remove one of these because I don't need the same variable defined twice. All right, now I'm going to exit and save. Next, do nano etc init.d host apd. All right, and this file is empty. All right, and so it provides what to put into this file. I'm gonna just copy this and paste it from the website instead of trying to type it, because that's a little bit to type, but not a lot. And going to save, and now we will exit. All right, and then next we want to take a backup of the etc dnsmask.conf, and I'm going to do put it in the same directory. Better yet, I'm gonna go ahead and cd to the same directory, the etc directory, because that's where most of this stuff is located. And conf, and then do dnsmaskconf.org. Actually, I'll put the current date on here, 06, as well as the time. I like to do things that way. That way, if I make a modification during the same day, then I can just have another backup file there. All right, so now that I have moved that file, we do nano dnsmask.conf, and now that we have it open, we need to add the following lines from the website. So I'm gonna just copy and paste all of that. And basically, we're defining our interface, a DNS server, and a DNS IP range. I don't need that many IP addresses, so what I'm gonna do is actually take this 150 and convert it to 60. Really, I don't need that many. I'm gonna just do 55 for the sake of simplicity. Because really, I might have my phone and I may have the computer connected to the same time, and that would be it. So that prevents people from hacking your Raspberry Pi and giving out a whole bunch of connections that don't necessarily need to have. But if you're using this truly as a access point for, let's say, at home or something of that nature, you really will probably need to leave that at 50 to 150 for the IP range. So just keep that in mind. All right, so now that I've done that, I can save and exit. Next, go to nano and systemctl.conf. And in this file, we're going to look for the nets IP4 forward, and that is there, so no issues with that. And to activate it immediately, we can run the following command, which is sudo sh-c echo1 into the proxysnet IPv4 IP forward. And that is supposed to enable it immediately. If you don't want to run that command, you can just reboot the Raspberry Pi once everything is done, which is what I'll probably do anyway. All right, next we're going to set up IP4 forwarding. So we can connect or set up network address translation, or NAT for short. So I'm gonna copy this and paste it from the website where they have provided. And this is step 19, by the way, where I'm at with this particular item. All right, going on to step 20. The next table, the next command is to flush the IP table on the, it's that the IP table is flushed on every reboot, so we need to save the new rules into another file. So we'll copy and paste that command in. And the next one is to run a command to edit the rc.local file. And what this will do is actually put the IP rules back in on every time the Raspberry Pi is restarted. And I noticed that exit 0 is in here twice. It does not need to be, so I'm going to remove one of those exit zeros. What else we need? So above the exit 0, we need to have the IP tables restore, and we're restoring it from that file, so that looks good. And should be able to save and exit out of that file. Then next, need to start the two services and re-enable them in systemctl. So systemctl, you got to make sure you type it correctly. Unmask host apd. All right, the next one, I'm going to enable host apd. All right, so it looks like we have a slight problem here. Not sure if that's supposed to be the case or not. All right, so I finally got the systemctl enable host apd to work correctly without throwing an error. What I ended up having to do was to remove the host apd as well as the DNS packages using apt-get, auto-remove, purge, and then specifying those two packages and then reinstalling them afterwards. Not sure why that was the case, but that was the case. And so after doing all of that, I did get a message that allowed for it, that showed that it did not fail. So now I'm going to continue with the rest of the commands that it has listed on the Pi My Life Up website. So that would be the host apd start, and then the service DNS mask start. All right, and then the last command is to do reboot. And so I'm going to go ahead and let that restart, and we'll come back once it has completed. All right, the Pi has come back online, so go ahead and SSH back into the Pi. And to confirm, I'm going to run ps-ef and look for the host apd process. And I do see the host apd process. And now I'm going to also check the Wi-Fi, and I do see the Traffic Pi listed as an access point that I can connect to. So that will wrap it up for this particular video. If you have any questions about Anything that I've done in this video, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section below. Also, you can reach out to me on Instagram and Twitter at almostengr, and check out my website, thealmostengineer.com. Until the next time, peace out.